Welcome to the Been There Doing That podcast. I'm Robert Scrivener.
And I'm Gayla Scrivener.
We left the 9-to-5 grind, downsized, and our goal is to have freedom to live and to work from just about anywhere.
Welcome back to Been There Doing That.
Is this your first time listening?
If so, we welcome you, and if not,
Welcome back.
Welcome back. As you're listening to this episode,
We are sitting outside.
yes, we are sitting outside as we're recording. However, at the time that this episode will publish, we will be hitting the road. And where will we be going, Robert?
Boy, that was tough.
Wow, it was.
We will be going to the Overland Expo 2017 East in Asheville, North Carolina.
Asheville, North Carolina, at the Vanderbilt
Estate.
The last year was the first time they had it there, right?
I don't remember, but I know it was there last year.
We have not been to Asheville, North Carolina, or Overland East, but as we are preparing to go, we had secured a volunteer spot, which we're super excited about.
Yes.
And so that's why we're going out there. And as we prepare, we're kind of thinking about our first experience with Overland Expo. And that
West.
it was
We went to the West one.
we went to the West one that was outside of Flagstaff.
2016.
Yes, and it was at Mormon Lake. Is that right?
I believe so. Mormon Lake, southeast of Flagstaff.
I know that in 2017 they moved locations.
More inside of Flagstaff area, I think to the Flagstaff Fairgrounds, I believe is where that's at now. The Coconino Fairgrounds.
But when we went, it was at Mormon Lake, and we had a fantastic time. But I know that when I talk to our friends or family and tell them that we're going out to Overland Expo, I get these puzzled looks.
What is it?
So, Robert,
What are you talking about?
can you explain what Overland?
Oh, boy. Overland Expo is, in my mind, is a bunch of like-minded people that enjoy the outdoors and get away from the main traffic, travel by off-road vehicle, four-wheel drive, or motorcycle.
Or self-contained in our vehicle.
Self-contained in a vehicle, but not an RV. It is not a recreational vehicle of that sort. It's Jeeps, Land Rovers, that sort of thing, Unimogs, or global expedition vehicles type things, or a motorcycle.
Yeah, I think it's amazing going overlanding on a motorcycle that you have the tents and your sleeping bag, and you're pretty well self-contained, just tiny.
Just smaller stuff.
And Overland Expo, I think, is in their 13th year.
That sounds about right. I think it was 10th or 11th year when we was out early 2016. So this could be the 12th or 13th.
I encourage everyone, if you're more curious about Overland Expo, to go to overlandexpo.com. That's their main website, and then they have two other websites for specifically the West event and the East event to give more explanation of what it is and what they do. But when we got out there, out at Flagstaff, I was impressed with how many people were there.
I think there was 8,000 to 10,000.
And we were able to camp. We camped on the grounds. We purchased the whole weekend package.
The Overland Experience package.
And that meant that we had got passes to go to any of the classes.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't sign up for any of the tactical classes and learning about driving over the four-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah, wasn't too interested in that at the time.
And we did go out there in our Subaru, and our camping was out in a field. And I believe, if memory serves, it had rained a few days before.
Yes, and they were worried it was going to be all muddy and ruddy and nasty to get into and out of, but it dried up pretty nice before we got there.
And talking with some of the volunteers, apparently there was a lightning storm and some scary moments for them when they were setting up some of their big event tents and stuff.
Yes, and there was a lot of wind.
Yes.
I do remember that.
After the rain, and which we didn't experience any rain really while we were there. The rain had passed before we had arrived. And we had arrived, I believe, on Thursday to check in, get camp set up and everything. And the event officially kicked off on a Friday.
Yes, it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, leave out Monday.
And we ended up setting up camp, and it, like I said, it was in a big field. And one reassuring thing that happened, I thought, was there were a lot of people that didn't think we were crazy.
A lot of people that
were doing the same
thing that we were doing. We did not feel like an oddball oddity.
Because usually when we go to campgrounds and we have a rooftop tent, we get stairs, points.
Hey, man, can I take a picture of that? Yes. Where did you find that?
Some people want to look inside and everything, but we get some odd looks because we're not the norm. And once we were at Overland Expo, we felt normal.
Yes, we did. Fit right in there. Had nice neighbors and everything, too, when we set up.
Who was our neighbor in the Jeep? Just
Henry Eckel.
He
Eagle
was,
or Eckel. He lives out in California. Friends with him on Facebook. Interesting character.
I liked him.
The other guy on the other side of us in the Subaru, Foz Roamer, his name was Harley. You can follow him on Instagram. He's does Subaru stuff, overlanding in a Subaru.
Really?
Foz Roamer.
That's awesome.
Yes.
We walked around, and it was so great to see everybody else's setup in their vehicles, and got a lot of ideas. And people got ideas from us on how we stored things and how we hooked up our batteries.
Just kind of threw things in there. It worked.
It did.
It was not the
most efficient packing
because stuff had to be a certain way to fit in the back of our Subaru, but it worked. It worked for us, and we were gone 28 days on that trip, I think.
Yes.
So
yes.
It was not just a quick out there and back. It was a month trip almost.
But the event itself was only 3 full days.
Yeah.
And when the event started on Friday, that's when the wind started. I have never been in such wind ever.
We nicknamed it Bloverland.
Yes. And I was really fearful that our tent would even hold up.
But here it is.
Here it is. It held up. We had the awning, not the awning. What is that called?
The annex room.
The annex room on there, and we had a lot of tent stakes, and at night it blew.
Daytime
it blew. We just had no shelter except in certain classrooms from that wind, and it was exhausting. But we managed to have a good time anyway. We weren't wet.
No.
and actually, at the end of the event, I met up with one of the owners of CVT and complimented her on how durable the tents are, because we only had just a tiny bit of damage. There's some Velcro inside of the annex room, and with the wind blowing and flapping, the mesh on one of the doors kind of got caught onto the rough part of the Velcro and just kind of messed it up a little bit. And I'm in the midst of repairing that little hole. But for as bad as that wind was, I'm surprised that we didn't have more damage, honestly.
She looked at us kind of funny and said, "You're both sleeping there?"
Oh, yeah, we have one of the smaller versions.
Yeah, it's the smaller. It's the Mount Cayley, which I don't think is available anymore. And I think she remembered shipping it to us in Missouri from Oregon. And she didn't ship too many of them to Missouri, but this was one of the first ones. And they did away with the Mount Cayley. And it was the smallest one that had the annex room at the time. And you both sleep in there? You travel like that? Yes, we love each other. It's a little close for comfort, but it works.
It does work, and I think it's rather comfy and super nice people. And
Oh, yes.
that's what's so cool about Overland Expo, because they have a lot of vendors. They have journalists or magazines. They have vendors from trailers to tents to gadgets to refrigerators,
Solar panels. Knives, utensils.
And they're set up, obviously, in the vendor section, and there's certain time of the day that you can go peruse and buy and make connections, and it's wonderful to see what's all out there, give you ideas, and we saw a company that makes some really cool trailers out in Kansas, I want to say.
Yes, they were in central Kansas. I want to say Salina, but I may be wrong.
And I just love seeing small businesses and big businesses alike just come together and for the passion of overlanding. It's really cool.
People that want to get away.
Exactly.
Off the beaten path.
And so they have day passes that they offer. So I believe the day pass would be mainly for just meeting people and going through the vending section mainly.
I don't know. Could be. I don't think it's part. I don't think you can go to the classes.
I don't think so either. And that was one of the things that we really enjoyed. They offer a whole bunch of classes, and you have to look through their catalog and pick out which classes that you want to sign up for, because sometimes they get full and everything. And those, like I said earlier, there's some driving, there's tactical
off-road driving courses.
Yes, and those fill up first, which I think it's amazing for them to offer that.
Roll a vehicle and how to get it back right upside.
Mm-hmm. And they have a whole course that's kind of an obstacle course to me, a driving course. And I think that is fabulous that they offer that. We just didn't experience that. We chose not to. Well, that wasn't just in our priorities to do. But we signed up. We tried to take as many classes as we could, and we ended up doing attending a class called Adventure Capital, creating a lifetime travel fund with investment real estate and retirement planning. And that was with Jonathan Healy and Carla King. And that was a good class. It gave us different perspective. They invest their money differently than what you and I do to fund their adventures.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great to see how they run their venture capitalist or their real estate business.
Yeah, it's a different approach than what we would have done, but we got something out of it.
Yes. And then we saw Eliza Sherman, and she can be seen at travelgirl.com. And she did a class on 10 easy ways to get more out of your social media. And that was fun because at the time I was thinking, hey, we do social media for our business, and I want to kind of see different person's perspective.
Yeah. See what other people are doing.
And then it's given me ideas. It's like, hey, maybe we can teach a class someday.
I don't see why not.
I think we might need to sign up sometime. And then this was all Friday. We took 3 classes on Friday. And we took a class with a guy by the name of Mike Endres, Endres, and he did taking and managing your photographs. And we are interested in that just to see how other people digitally file away their photos. And we got something out of that. We do it a little bit differently. But that's why it's so great to go to these classes to get ideas.
Yeah, ideas on the way other people do it and things you could do to improve it yourself.
And that's why we would teach classes, is because we want to show people how we do it, because hopefully that could help them along the way.
You never know.
You never know. And then Saturday, our first class of the day. Oh, by the way, side note.
Yes.
On our blog, we had in May, I believe it was May 26th. Let me look here. Sorry about the paper flying. We're outside.
We are outside.
May 29th on our blog, I posted a blog post recapping our events. And it's a good thing that I wrote this stuff down so I could remember. So if you want to refer back to that, you'd see the details recapping our Overland Expo West. But this is how I remembered what classes we took. That Saturday, we did knots and hitches for securing gear to roof racks and trailers.
That was fun.
That was with Rusty Rice. He called himself Captain Rusty. And what did you think about Mr. Captain Rusty?
Well, he's famous for his knots.
He is. I think he was in the movie. Or his knots were in...
His knots were in the movie, Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff.
That was so fun. And he was... I did pretty well in the class, but I don't think I retained it very well.
Oh, you did better than I did in the class.
But I think you do better outside of the class than I did.
I was nervous.
Then we did Basics of Visual Storytelling with Dean Shirley.
He is eastcoastoverlandadventures.com.
Yes.
He's does blog writing, a bunch of stuff. I think photography. Follow him on Instagram and stuff.
And then we went wayfinding with Map and Compass. Carly, I don't know how to spell that or how to pronounce that last name.
Well, give it your best shot.
No.
Okay. Either way, it was a fun class, learning how to navigate with a compass and map, finding your way.
I didn't know a lot of that stuff. You probably already did.
Well, it happens.
And then you liked the on-trail communications, getting beyond the CB radio.
Yeah. That involved ham radio, and, well, you know how much I like that.
There was something, was it with satellite too?
APRS.
What was that technology that he was talking about? His name was Bob McNamara.
Yeah. APRS was doing GPS tracking with ham radio, sending a beacon out.
Okay. There was some sort of, I can't remember now, but I thought he was talking about some sort of product that was like a satellite phone or something like that.
I think it was the Delorme Sat InReach, I think it was. You poke the button, it sends out. You can text from it, call, email through satellites. I think it's the Delorme or the InReach Delorme. Poke a button, sends out a beacon and lets everybody know you're okay.
Okay.
Nothing to do with ham radio.
That was pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Kind of expensive.
Oh, yes.
But well worth it.
But you have a monthly reoccurring fee with it, too.
Yes, but it'd be very handy if you're going much more remote than what we usually do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did a class with Walt Wagner, and it was less is more. What do you really need to bring with you on an adventure?
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically looking at his vehicle. and how he packed things. It was outside.
Trying to think of his company is TALV, Talvac, or I think they're out of Colorado.
I don't remember because I couldn't find his website.
Yeah, I've got it. Well, we'll put it in the show notes there.
Okay.
Along with the others if you want. But yes, less is more. You don't have to take everything with you. Make a list of everything you take with and make a list of everything you didn't use on that trip. And don't pack it next time.
We started doing that this year.
Yep.
And in fact, you have our list from our last trip that we took to Tennessee, and you're modifying it right now.
Yep.
And as we're packing, and we are referring back to our last list to.
And some things on the next trip you might know you need that you didn't have on your last one and didn't need it.
For example, it's going to be cooler this time, so we've got to think of cooler weather and a lot of rain. We need rain gear on this next trip. So
the last 2 years in a row at the Overland Expo East, it's rained, so we've heard, and gotten muddy, so we're preparing for it this year.
And then our next class that we did, this was on Sunday. We took our last 3 classes was sponsorship, the ins and outs of finding funds for your adventure. And that was with Sam Manicom. And that was kind of interesting.
He was an interesting feller. Traveled on his motorcycle. That's the way he did his. And he didn't take very much, but interesting.
Getting a different perspective of how people can pay you to travel. And
right, and
strategically placing maybe their logos and how to ask for sponsorship and things like that. So
product placement.
Maybe someday we'll do that, but obviously the first step is to get some sort of following.
Yeah.
And that's with any kind of sponsorship.
And if you're listening to this, thank you.
Yes, exactly. And then with Michael Douglas, not the Michael Douglas actor, but a different Michael Douglas, we had a class called Weather and Climate Knowledge for Expeditions.
I remember that one.
And we learned some different websites that we weren't aware of. And that was good because we like to know what weather is about to happen. So, and that's a good idea to plan your trip and
predicted forecast and not just, the months that you're going, what's the highs and lows and what's the record highs and record lows. Is it normally wet? Is it normally dry? And just plan around it. And what's the best time of year to go there?
Well, and making sure when we have our internet on, whether it's phone or our hotspot, I know that tracking on WeatherBug and seeing the satellite images, that has really saved us on knowing the timing on when we need to pack up before we get soaked.
Yeah, that worked when we went to Tennessee the first time for a month. Had a hurricane going through there, and we slowed way down. So we didn't get wet and run into all the rain.
So weather tracking and looking at the weather is very important when you overland, and learned a few things. And then last but not least, the class that you really, really enjoyed is the ham radio equipment and use workshop with Scott Martin.
Yeah.
And he was amateur. He was with the amateur radio club there. And you knew a lot of what was being presented because it was kind of a beginning class, but it was fun.
This is fun to see what other amateur radio operators do in different parts of the country, and how they prepare for disasters and emergency coordination and to get the much needed help to where it needs to be.
And they had a booth there in the vending area, and you bought a Bofang.
I did, a Bofang UV5R. It was his personal one, and I was looking for one, and he happened to have it there, and I bought it at the end of the day on Sunday.
Yeah. So, and we stayed for their dinner events, and
The barbecue, went to the barbecue they had.
There were some people that you recognized in passing.
Fred. We met Fred from Dirt Every Day.
I know, you know these individuals more. I
pay attention with Dirt Every Day.
Yes, you do.
Fred Williams, I believe it is, from Dirt Every Day was there. Got to talk to him for a while.
I really like his YouTube channel.
It is. It's fun. He's interesting, and it's keeps it interesting to watch.
And what's that other YouTube show that you frequently watch? And then we were speaking with them at the pizza place.
Oh, Overland Expedition Overland. Clay Croft.
And is that what their YouTube channel is?
Expedition Overland.
Mm-hmm. Is that husband and wife team?
Rachel is his wife. No, usually it's just him. His wife does, I believe, her own expedition type stuff or racing.
Oh yeah,
she does racing.
I really enjoy them. It's his wife and another lady too, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Not that you guys may be listening to this, but
you never know.
I really do enjoy your show. So I just am not good with names. Sorry.
Faces, yes. She could pick you out of a lineup.
Yeah, I can. And another highlight that I thought was good was that we got to see inside some of these overlanding vehicles that were displayed.
Global Expedition Vehicles.
Where are they out of?
They're out of Nixie, Missouri, or in Nixa if you're not from around here, but Nixa, Missouri, Nixa, Global Expedition Vehicles. They go all over the world.
They're tucked away there in Nixa. They're kind of hidden, and I don't think there's very many people that know that they're around.
No.
Local, anyway. But we were able to look inside of their vehicles, which we were super excited about. And there were a lot of similar type vehicles that could fit in a shipping container. And we were able to talk with and tour some of those vehicles too.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there. And some faces I recognized, and some I just knew the names of but didn't recognize. Some of them I just knew the vehicles and didn't know the person that owned them.
What's your favorite? Well, I like that vehicle that it's not a slow vehicle, it's a fast house.
I am not a I'm not. It's not a slow vehicle. I'm a fast house.
And that's a .com.
They have a .com page.
I think that's what.
That was on a Volkswagen Syncro. I want to say is brown, but now they've upgraded to a truck with a camper.
I love it because it's all about the destination. About the journey to the destination, and we're not in it to get there.
May your destination never be in sight. Just keep going and going and going.
I love that. Did you take that from somewhere?
No, I just made it up.
Well, I like that. Well, I think we should make a meme on that.
Well, there you go.
Well, this is kind of a summary of our experiences out west at Overland Expo, and we are super excited to be on our way, as you're listening to this, to Overland Expo East in Asheville, North Carolina. And as we're out there, we'll be recording several episodes. And in looking at our west journey, like Robert said earlier, it took us about 29 days for a 3-day event, really. And we made a huge circle. And saw a lot of things. And we are going to make some additional podcasts kind of telling you about those adventures.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we've got tons of pictures on that
Tons
stuff.
of pictures. I think we went through 5,000 pictures on that trip.
You did a lot of film.
I did a lot of film photography, and we just did developing on those earlier.
Yes.
A couple months ago.
Yes.
Self-developed film.
Exactly.
And it was, I think, 33 rolls or something like that. 30-something rolls of film.
In 12 hours.
No, I took 30-something rolls of film. We developed 19.
It was a sweatshop that day.
It was.
We took about 12 hours to develop all that film in our space. So, but anyway, we'll wrap this show up. We appreciate you tuning in, and if you haven't done so, we'd love it if you'd subscribe on iTunes and throw in a comment if you'd like.
Yes, we like hearing suggestions for shows and anything else that you might have.
You can certainly email us at podcast@beenthere.doingthat.com.
Look us up on Facebook.
And you can go to our website.
Or you could go to our website.
We appreciate you, and thanks for listening.
Toodaloo.